You're a highly complex, honestly incredibly fragile biological machine, currently hurtling through space on a spinning rock. Right now, literally as we speak, your body is doing millions of microscopic calculations just to keep your heart beating and your eyes focused. But, have you ever stopped to map out what it actually takes to be human? I mean, not just to survive, but the whole shebang, to truly live. In this explainer, we're going to build the architecture of human existence from the absolute ground up. We're stripping away the noise of modern life and looking at the undeniable blueprint of us. So let's dive right in. And we're starting with the starkest biological reality imaginable: 20. That is the absolute maximum number of minutes a human being can survive without breathing oxygen. And let's be real, for almost all of us, it's just a tiny fraction of that. Before you can even think about your career, your relationships, or your life's grand purpose, your biology demands one relentless thing: oxygen. It's a pretty wild reminder of our fragile baseline, right? If this single continuous need is interrupted, literally everything else ceases to exist.
Okay, so you've secured your next breath. Boom. We immediately slam right into the rest of the biological baseline. And you just can't cheat these rules. To generate energy, your body demands an exact, continuous cocktail of carbohydrates, proteins, and fats. Plus, you need a constant stream of water just to keep your cellular engines from stalling out. And then, well, there's sleep. We literally have to shut down and go completely unconscious for 7 to 8 hours every single night, just to keep our minds and bodies from falling apart. You have to conquer these basic needs every single day before any higher level stuff can even begin to spark. Which actually brings us to a super fascinating technical concept that dictates basically everything we do all day: homeostasis. Now, in plain English, homeostasis is just the act of keeping the chaotic outside world from messing up your highly regulated inside world. Think about it like this. When it's freezing outside, your internal temperature is going to plummet unless you step in. So you throw on a heavy winter coat. That's homeostasis. If you get a cut and you put a bandage on it to stop the bleeding and keep bacteria out, also homeostasis. You're constantly playing defense, building a wall between your delicate internal machinery and an outside environment that, honestly, kind of wants to dismantle it. So let's say you've taken a breath, you've eaten your carbs, chugged some water, slept your 8 hours, and zipped up your coat. Congratulations, you've successfully survived the day. But what happens next? Like, what happens once you've completely conquered the raw physical mechanics of just staying alive?
Well, this brings us to the next level of our pyramid: safety. And what's really fascinating here is how our dangers have evolved over time. On one hand, sure, we absolutely still face immediate physical dangers, right? We have that built-in instinct to avoid injuries or exposure to the brutal elements. But in our modern world, physical safety is intimately tied to financial danger. We need reliable shelter, a place with at least 4 walls and a roof to keep those elements out. And unless you're living completely off the grid in the deep woods, securing that shelter means pursuing a living. It means entering a system where you have to trade a dependable stream of money for goods, services, and ultimately your physical security. So here is the absolutely crucial takeaway. You cannot thrive if you're just surviving. If your brain is constantly using up all its processing power on the fear of starvation, the anxiety of losing your home, or the panic of physical danger, it acts like a giant override switch. Those primal fears will completely shut down any attempts you make to reach higher levels of human accomplishment. You literally have to secure the foundation before you can even think about building the second floor. But once that foundation is poured and rock solid, we unlock a profound, almost cinematic part of our programming. There's this ancient philosophical thought that hits the nail on the head. It goes, man is by nature a social animal. An individual who is unsocial naturally and not accidentally is either beneath our notice or more than human. Think about how deeply ingrained that really is. We are simply not designed to wander the earth entirely alone. A life lived in total isolation robs us of a richer, more emotional existence. We have this powerful, undeniable, innate drive to seek out other people, to form bonds, and to build communities.
So how do we actually turn that innate social drive into reality in the crazy modern world? Honestly, it comes down to some pretty practical mechanics. First, you just have to spend time together. You hang out, you complain about the weather, share some food, and just find that common ground. Second, you forge an actual bond through mutual aid. Basically, you help someone when they're down, and they'll be there to help you when you stumble. And third, for romance, well, that requires the total vulnerability of taking action and simply asking someone out. It sounds basic, but this is the literal step-by-step process of turning random passing acquaintances into true friends, romantic interest, and partners for life.
Okay, so picture this. You've got a safe shelter, plenty of food in the fridge, and a really solid group of friends. You've checked all the survival boxes, yet we arrive at this startling, massive curiosity gap. Why do so many people who have secured all of these things, who on paper have absolutely everything they need, still wake up feeling completely empty? The answer actually lies in self-esteem, but a very, very specific kind. See, there's a massive divide between external approval and internal validation. A lot of people fall into the trap of depending entirely on what other people think of them. They use relationships or social media to get this temporary boost in mood. But real, true self-esteem, that begins entirely within. It comes from knowing your own value, being confident in your own abilities, and respecting yourself because you've actually achieved something. Whether that's crushing it at your job or just mastering some weird niche hobby you do purely for fun, the point is, you cannot outsource your self-worth to a crowd. So, once your biological needs are met, your safety is locked in, your relationships are healthy, and your internal self-esteem is totally rock solid, you hit the ultimate existential wall. You look up at the night sky and you ask the absolute biggest question of all: why are we here? And this right here is where we begin the complex process of validating our own existence. Because there's no single instruction manual handed to us at birth, right? So we find meaning in incredibly diverse ways. Some folks adopt a rigorous philosophy or deeply held moral principles. Others express what's inside their heads by creating amazing art, writing, or playing music. Some validate their existence by becoming fierce innovators or by trying to decipher the literal mysteries of the universe through science. And others find their highest calling just by stepping outside and caring for nature. But regardless of which path you end up choosing, the pursuit of purpose usually boils down to one warm, unifying idea: make your mark and improve the earth for the people who come after you. It's this profound realization that true human thriving involves leaving the room slightly better than you found it, no matter how small that contribution might seem. And resting right at the very peak of this human pyramid is our highest, most abstract capability: love. Now, clinically, it's defined as a feeling of intense affection, attachment, and desire for another human. But come on, anyone who has ever felt it knows it's way more mysterious and inexplicable than that. It's this crazy driving force that leads us to commit our entire lives to a romantic partner, or to start a family so we can love someone from the absolute beginning of their life all the way to the very end. For sure, it is widely considered the absolute best thing about the human experience. But operating at this super high level of empathy, it requires a really delicate balance, especially when the people we care about are hurting. Like, imagine trying to help someone struggling with deep depression. You obviously have to bring immense compassion, helping them feel less alone in their suffering. But crucially, you also have to maintain strict boundaries. Because if you sacrifice your own foundational needs, your sleep, your safety, your self-esteem, just to save them, you aren't providing a good model. And honestly, you'll both eventually sink. It's exactly why airlines always tell you to put your own oxygen mask on before assisting others. So, to tie all of this incredibly complex human architecture together, we can look to a universal philosophy that spans basically countless cultures across the globe: the Golden Rule: do to others what you would have them do to you. When you have climbed all the way from the raw basics of breathing to the incredible heights of validating your own existence, this simple, ancient rule serves as the ultimate compass for navigating the world alongside everybody else. We've just built the entire human experience from the ground up. We went from oxygen and homeostasis to physical and financial safety to forging bonds, building self-esteem, finding purpose, and finally experiencing love. So I want to leave you with this one thought to carry with you after this explainer ends. Take a hard look at the blueprint of your own life. Are you maybe struggling with a higher level purpose simply because your basic foundations of rest or safety are cracked? Or, on the flip side, have you secured your safety but completely neglected the internal validation required to truly thrive? Ask yourself right now, where are you on the pyramid today, and what is the exact next step you need to take to climb higher?